On this episode of Doing the Most, we're gonna brew up a classic ale.
Homemade brews and various how-tos, everything from mead to roast, bake creation, fermentation, inebriation, doing the most.
Friends don't let friends stamp their cocks.
Exactly.
Okay. Have you ever heard of cock ale before I mentioned it to you?
No.
So, Charlie Papazian, the god of homebrewing, wrote this book many, many years ago. I'm on the 3rd edition here, The Joy of Homebrewing. And for those of you playing along at home, Charlie wrote on page 96 and 97 about the cock ale, which is a historical recipe. He doesn't really go into the history here, but my understanding is this is old school. I see that he mentions there's an authentic recipe that was published in 1899, but I think it's a little bit older than that. This is basically an ale. It's no different than most beers, but it's made with a mashed up rooster in the beer.
Which we have here.
We have here a silky pullet. It's not a rooster, but it's kind of hard to find a rooster at the grocery store. And yeah, its head is still on.
Perfect.
We went all in.
You gotta do the most.
His recipe is for 10 gallons. We're gonna do a 5-gallon batch. So I got us a small cock today. Parboil the cock, flea him, and stamp him in a stone mortar till his bones are broken. Now note, you must craw and gut him before you flea him.
Is he crawed and gutted
I
already?
believe he's crawed and gutted, but good thing I know how to do that.
I mean, I love cooking. Gutting is not one of my favorite things to do, though.
We're going to then put him into a couple quarts of sack, which, according to this, is a 16th century dry Spanish white wine. We are not using a dry Spanish white wine.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to spend money on a dry Spanish white wine, so we're going with Tisdale Chardonnay.
All right.
It should be dry, at least. And then we're going to use our favorite nutrient of all, raisins. I think these are a bodybuilder for this. Never miss an opportunity to roast raisins, particularly raisins the sun stoned.
Okay, perfect. I'm
Which-
sure that
I think Always Save. Yeah, they definitely sunstone their raisins.
Yeah. Check them out on Instagram. So they have it all over the place.
Yeah, the full process. Just swipe right to learn how we sunstone our raisins. And we're going to use blades of mace, a few cloves. We're going to put all that into a bag and we're going to let it soak for a little while. And then the original recipe calls for us to then put all that in a muslin bag and throw it in while the ale is finishing its ripening. Now, we're not going to do that because botulism is a risk.
Correct.
In our Discord, there was a lot of discussion about how to do this safely. So what we're going... Yes, we have gloves. We're
We have
going
a
to
whole
try
box of gloves.
and avoid instant death from botulism. Apparently, it's 30 to 50% lethal if consumed. That's what the Discord said.
That seems
I don't
bad.
know. Citation
I've never
citation
had
needed.
botulism.
I haven't either.
Good.
It's surprising in this day and age. So we're going to put our cock in the boil, and we're going to do a 90-minute boil. It will be parboiled here, it will be soaked in 12% alcohol here, and then it will be boiled a few days from now. We're actually going to do a no mash recipe. I've decided to, in the interest of simplicity, we're going to do what's called a smash. So it's single malt and single hop. So we're going to use Munich malt, and we are going to use Centennial hops.
Sounds
with a
good.
few hops additions. That way it's as simple as possible. We're not doing any specialty grains, we're not mixing malts, we're not doing any of that. We're just dumping 6 pounds of Munich in there. So it'll be very simple. It's a little bit of a European flair to it. Let's go ahead and glove up.
Yep.
Have you ever had a silky pullet before?
I have not. I've seen them, though.
I have had it fried once.
They're distinctively dark.
Yeah. If you are squeamish, now's the time to look away. Maybe we'll have a little cock-a-doodle-doo when it's okay to look again.
Sure. He's got his head right on him.
Look how long the neck is.
It's just weird. Chickens look weird without, like, feathers.
They're dinosaurs, man. Okay, he's got feet too.
Those are probably gonna have to go. Man, he's got some claws on him, too.
Do your chickens have large talons? Here is our cock.
Just a gross...
Just a chicken.
Gray,
All right,
black
so I'm gonna have
chicken.
you pop that top. Let's go.
All right, we got a nice boil. We're at 250. in case anyone cares.
I'm gonna just quickly quarter this chicken. All right, so let's give that 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna bump the heat just a touch.
Are you ready to stamp it?
I guess. We'll give it a shot.
Let's start with the spine and oof, it stinks.
It does.
And the neck.
I mean, it's parboiled cock.
Go ahead, mash it up. It says until the bones are broken.
Well, luckily this thing, bones are not very,
Really get in there with it, you know.
I'm trying to just get it.
Make sure it knows who's boss.
Look at the front of my shirt. That was a juicy neck.
What are the symptoms of salmonella?
That's fine.
Dry sense of humor and lack of concern for what the world thinks of you.
Yeah.
Really get the head there too. You want to make sure that beak is
I don't even see the head. Where is the head?
fully pulverized.
This is not the head.
The head was attached to the neck.
Maybe that's what's all over me. Maybe it's brains.
You could always use a few extra. It smells like chicken soup.
I would have worn a lighter shirt if I would have known how.
It smells just like Grandma used to make.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you would go over for Sunday afternoon brunch, and Grandma would have a nice cock ale waiting for you.
Nah, she'd just be pounding it. Stamping it, sorry.
Stamping it.
God, we're gonna get
All
in
right.
trouble for this video.
I love it.
Okay, that's enough.
All right, scoop it in here.
My just like kind of intuition and like first guess for why you would want to do something like this would potentially be to kind of introduce more body through the fats.
Maybe.
Which I still, because it's going to add body, I believe. But you told me earlier, and I'll let you say it, that might not really work, or
Well,
that might not be.
the concern with adding fats is head retention. So I'm worried about not being able to have a head on top of this when you do a pour. While you're doing that, I'm going to count out 10 whole cloves. Whew, it's aromatic. It's got a real, ooh.
That smells like Christmas.
10 whole cloves. Now, I thought about smashing these up, but clove is a very strong flavor.
Yes, it is very
And
strong.
so I think just letting it steep in alcohol for 3 days is going to be fine.
I think that's about right.
It's probably fine. I'm not quite convinced that the raisins
Do anything?
add anything. Yeah. Ever used mace before?
I know a little bit about mace. I don't use it often. It's actually not used a lot in most of the recipes that I.
My understanding
Go for it.
is it's like the outer wrap of a nutmeg.
Yeah.
It says like some blades of mace. There's not like specific, so I'm gonna put in like tablespoon-ish.
Yeah, probably.
Right in. Smells good. Again, smells kind of Christmassy. You gonna eat one?
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. I am actually surprised that this is corked.
I have had some screw top sakes recently that were extremely good.
Yeah.
And I've
Oh
had-
yeah, because our Asian market has a sake section now.
They do.
Yeah.
Which ironically, you can get most of what I noticed is there are sakes available from most of the liquor stores that are the same. So it's probably the same distributor, but
It should be dry.
I don't like Chardonnay.
It's dry.
And room temperature.
Right on in. This was $5.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, let's give that a smell.
Yeah. Here, let me shake it up a little bit.
Okay.
Remember those shake and bake commercials?
Uh-huh.
It's shake and bake, and I'll help.
Nobody wanted to help make shake and bake.
What do you get on the nose there?
Smells like Chardonnay
And chicken.
and chicken.
Okay. I'm gonna do some of this if you wanna try
Okay.
and get as much air out of here as possible. I'm curious how the blades of mace come through in this.
Also, don't eat mace.
You gonna eat one? That's fun.
My palate is ruined right now.
Oh yeah?
It tastes like I just chewed on like a giant piece of plastic.
While unconventional, the brew day on this was pretty chill. I removed our brining chicken out of the fridge and dumped all of the contents into a muslin brew bag. I poured off all the juices and Chardonnay, thinking it doesn't need to make its way into our wort, and then I tied the brew bag to the handle of my kettle. We used 6 pounds of Munich malt extract, making sure to get every last drop we could out of that container, and then we topped this up to 3 gallons. Adjust our bag, and then I brought that to a boil. We did a 90-minute boil on this, and as you can see, oils quickly started to form on top. We started with boiling the chicken in the wort for 30 minutes and then moved on to our hour traditional boil. At the beginning of that hour, we added 1 ounce of Centennial. Another 1 ounce went in with 15 minutes to go, and then 1 more ounce went in at flame out. Stir, 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 and I let that sit for about 5 minutes before pulling it out to strain. Then I snipped our chicken bag and attached it to the other handle much higher up so it could also strain. Once everything was pretty well done straining, we moved to the floor and added 2 gallons of very cold water. Then I stuck the whole thing in an ice bath in the sink. Once it was down basically to room temperature, I went ahead and moved it to our brew bucket and took a temperature. It's about 84 degrees, and then took our gravity reading. It's about 1.042. I added opshog, kveik ale yeast, just dumping the whole thing right in on top. And then I covered that to let it ferment for a couple of weeks. A couple weeks later, cracking this sucker open, there was a wonderful oil slick on top. And this had finished at 1.010, which is fairly typical for a beer. So we went ahead and racked that off. And as I was racking, I was able to pull a taste and realize this was gonna need a little bit more hops in it. So I talked to some folks on our Discord, one of which recommended these Willamette hops. And so we did a dry hop in the keg. So basically I split this 1 ounce of hops into 3 of these natural tea bags, and then I strung them up with some sanitized dental floss and let them hang outside the keg, supported in part by our keg lid. I let those hops steep for 48 hours in this slightly pressurized keg. At the end of that 48 hours, I simply pulled our hops tea bags out, resealed it, and then set it to carbonate. And a week later, I invited David over for a taste. I have no idea what the cocktail tastes like. I could be wrong, but I highly doubt that the rooster itself adds anything to this brew.
Whenever we first were doing it, I was just kind of guessing that it was to add body.
Yeah.
Which,
I was worried about head retention, but look at this guy.
Yeah, I mean, those fats, they didn't...
They didn't cut the head on
They didn't cut the head. What are we looking for here?
The rooster. Munich malt, some kind of identifiable hop profile. Clove, and there was mace. So there should be some spice. Clove in a beer that doesn't include spice. Clove is generally seen as a negative in beer. It's seen as a fault in your beer.
I get the nutmeg.
Nutmeg and malt.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of hops, honestly. Just a little bit.
Yeah, there's that like floral kind of resinous aroma that you would get from hops. Cheers.
Skull.
Oh my god. It's
doesn't really taste like anything. I mean, I can taste some mace and nutmeg, kind of.
I'm gonna try and open it up a little bit.
Okay, well, yeah, we can try that.
It's thin. It's very low body.
Yeah.
Which it's only 4.2% alcohol, so Low body is to be expected, but I'm not getting any of that wonderful rooster fortified
No.
body you were speculating about.
I mean, no, yeah, not at all. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal to this. Like,
I don't know that there is an appeal.
it doesn't taste bad.
It's so low bodied. You're not picking up that kind of rich maltiness that you would get typically on something this color.
Right.
I would expect this level of body out of like a light beer, like a commercial light beer. I
They're
don't know.
pretty thin.
This is
I
about
mean-
the body that I would expect from like a bowling alley pitcher of beer.
If somebody poured me this and said this is $5 a glass, I would probably drink the glass and say,
Yeah.
yeah, why not? I'll have another one of those.
The blades of mace, that nutmeggy flavor, I like.
Yeah, no, it's good.
That's interesting. It adds a...
That's what lingers on your palate.
Mm-hmm.
The spices they're not extremely forward. I mean, you can smell them, but,
I mean, the whole room smells of it right now.
right. But the flavor profile is if you don't take a sip for a while, that's what you're left with.
Yeah.
If Guinness made a like 25% lighter brew, I think it might have a similar thing.
It's almost like a spiced kombucha. It has fermentation flavor, but that spice, no, like a tea-based kombucha.
Well, maybe.
I
know.
don't think it tastes like beer. It's not as offensive as the name and the recipe imply. If I was gonna do this again, I would probably do it without the chicken because I don't think it contributed anything. I would put a blade of mace and one crushed up clove in the hop spider, bittering only on the hops, and then use the Willamette as a dry hop. But I wouldn't use the chicken or the bottle of wine or any of that stuff. I think using some specialty grains would help.
Probably.
You know, using some wheat, giving it a more complex grain profile, help. Maybe even put some milled corn in there. Just so
Something.
there's something else in there that
Yeah.
screams, I'm a beer. I think that could pair really well with the mace and the clove.
I still don't. I mean,
Or use a yeast that's high phenolic, so that way
Yeah.
you're not having to put cloves in it at all. You're just relying on the yeast for that flavor.
this or Keystone Light.
Natty Light.
Really? You have to think about it? This is way better than Natty Light or Keystone Light or
You topped me up, but I'm struggling to finish this thing. The spice level, the like warm spice level, is very intense on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a lot of plastic in the back of my mouth, which is the mace.
Blades and mace.
Yeah,
right.
but I think it's all right.
All right.
I would not recommend it for you to brew because it's a lot of work for this. But
It was fun.
okay,
I had a good time.
taste scale, 1 to 10.
1 to 10, I'd give
Flavor
this
scale.
4.
I'd probably give it a 6.
Yeah. I think there's a way to brew with these flavors where you could reach an 8 or a 9, but this is
Not it.
bad. You can find us on Instagram and Pinterest at Doing the Most OK. Our website is doingthemost.org, and we have a Discord at discord.doingthemost.org.
And we usually make things that are better than this.
Until next time, happy brewing and stay safe.